Thank you, Renee. Thank you for staff, everybody here that's done a great job. First, I have to thank my wife for putting up with all those things that Renee just said. It involves a lot of time, a lot of travel, as everybody here knows. And she has been more than wonderful. My son is here tonight with his wonderful wife from Ireland, and I can't thank them enough. And I've got a lot of other guests here, 3 former players, and one was a real surprise. And then to see the people in the room, some that I played high school against, some that I went to high school with, and I'm not young. And just the great people involved in this game. The Hockey USA people, sled hockey people. And I'll tell you a story about sled hockey later. I actually got to do a little coaching with them. First thing I need to do is complete something from last year's award ceremony. Bill Beanie, a boyhood friend of mine who I played with and against, I understand confused a lot of people in the audience with his speech. Not hard to believe. When I coached at Middlebury with him, the kids wouldn't allow us to stand together because I didn't think practice would ever get over. And they might have been just a little bit confused. But anyway, Bill wanted me to do this, and that is small games, time and space, and have fun. That actually is the end of Bill's speech last year because Rennie dragged him off the stage. And as all you people here know, one of the warnings that Rennie gives us all is 10 minutes or I'm dragging you off. I think Bill still has some scars. I'm not real sure about that. As Rennie said, I'm from Potsdam, and Potsdam minor hockey was great. I grew up to start my first 10 or 12 years up in a little town called Colton, and we had to drive 10 miles down to the rink, which was great. But the way I really got going, I was an altar boy. And our priest left at Christmas time, and we got a priest from Cornwall who came up, and we had an exchange of gifts, and they had them all up front. And there up front was a goalie stick. And I got my altar boy stuff off and ran out there to get that goalie stick. And that kind of started it off. In minor hockey in Potsdam, I remember some days I was a center, some days I was a goalie. But standing at Walker Arena and looking at the girders and watching Hockey Night in Canada on Wednesday night and looking at those same kind of girders and thinking, wow, is this Maple Leaf Gardens? But it looked so huge. But that's where the game comes from. An inductee in the basketball side of the Hall of Fame, Tom Murphy, was my grade school gym teacher. And when my dad couldn't take me to Potsdam, and he was a basketball guy through and through, he would drive me to Potsdam to practice or to play hockey. So that is, to me, where the game starts to grow. We can talk about all the complicated stuff. We can talk about all the stuff that the Russians do, or this guy does, or that guy does. But the real part that gets it is going to those rinks. And I ran into a coach, and he was talking to me about his grandson. And he wanted his grandson to be a player, and he's from the South. And they were worried about whether he would like the game. So after they got off the ice, the kid disappeared. Everybody panicked. They went out and found the kid with a ball of tape and a stick, putting the tape in a waste can. That kid started to love the game right there. And I told the coach, you don't have to worry. That's where things start, and that's how they should be. But growing up in Potsdam, Mike Smith is here, and Billy Martin is here. 2 of my heroes when I was coming up through, watching them play high school hockey. Going to the St. Lawrence tournament, and I know there's a lot of Canton people here, and seeing Red Berenson and Tony Esposito as a kid. I mean, how great is that kind of an experience when you later, Red and I became close friends. but so important. But the real guy that's in the Hall of Fame here, and Renee said, you can talk about anything, but if you want to talk about Steve Riggs, you can do that. Steve Riggs was a Potsdam guy who was killed in Vietnam. He was going to be my high school coach. We had lost our coach, and we were looking forward to here, we're going to have Steve. I had been at the game that Tommy Coakley wrote about, where Steve got 3 goals against Clarkson, and he was playing from Colgate, but here he is, a Potsdam guy. I went out in the outdoor rink the next day by myself and practiced forechecking and flipping pucks into a net and practicing like Steve Riggs skated. And later on, I was in the Army, and I was stationed at Fort Devens. And it was an intelligence school, not that I belonged there, but I was playing on the hockey team, and it was an all-officer team, and I was definitely not an officer. Major Beeman, the guy who ran the team, had me called out of lunch formation to go next door to a gym. And at that gym were Stevie's parents and his family, and they were dedicating the gym to him. And once again, the way hockey intersects with life is just amazing. And it was such an honor to play on that team, knowing that Steve had played on that team, and just all the great things that went on because of it. That major got me to Germany, and I'm sure that had a lot to do with why I'm standing here. I'm going to probably jump ahead a little bit to North Country Community College. 3 of my former players are here tonight, and I couldn't be happier to see them, some that I haven't seen in years. And one of them, a former service member also. Paul Burns, Ted Klein, and Paul Gomerak. And just happy to see him here. North Country was interesting. Coached against Billy Coakley, who was here tonight, and went out to North Dakota one year. And we didn't fare real well in the tournament, but the folks from North Dakota were nice enough to send a bus to pick us up. And of course, they had the bus to send us home. Well, we get up to Brantford or Brampton, someplace, up by Winnipeg, and the driver is absolutely falling asleep. And so we get the driver aside, and we say, you know, you're falling asleep, and we're all over the road. We're dragging we got a trailer behind us. And so I said, well, what's going on? He said, well, my cow had calves last night, so I was up all night. So the rest of the trip, guess who drove? Whoops. And quite a affair. My wife was sitting next to me with maps, and the guy woke up, and those folks up there can't go diagonal. It's right or left, and we're trying to get to the airport. My wife's saying, we can go this way diagonally and get there much quicker, and the guy he couldn't understand how anybody could take a diagonal path. So that was an adventure. One of the things that my guys cautioned me about is I was famous. Tarasov didn't like players to be punished by skating because skating was an important part of the game. Too important to punish them by skating. So he had the players do somersaults. And my buddy Paul Burns said to me, for God's sakes, don't have Rene LaRue do any somersaults on stage. So, Rennie, we won't have you do any somersaults. I guess I'm getting close to my 10 minutes here. I've rambled on long enough. I do want to say there's so many people that I've encountered. Dave Peterson, Al Godfrey, names Dave you probably know, Timmy Taylor, Johnny Cuniff, just some great people that really helped me along in my coaching career. And I won't tell you the story about Dave Peterson, but at the bar afterwards, I definitely will tell you. Rennie, thank you. Great job and great to see you.
Thank you. Somebody get your picture taken with that.